Ladies and gents, boys and girls, my name is Aram. Welcome to the Competitive Rowing Technique channel. This is the start to a series of video analysis videos. I think that's what you call it. And I will cover the Diamond Sculls of the 2024 Hindley Royal Regatta. I will look specifically into a couple of races leading up to the ever so famous final. It's not going to be the only race that I will be commenting on. I will most likely also cover 4s and 8s and certainly on the women's and men's side. So stay tuned, and as always, I highly recommend you go and check out the original footage published by Hindley Royal Regatta. What they make possible is simply outstanding. As usual, I will link all the original footage in the description below. Let's get started. So this is day number 3, and it's Spain versus Bermuda. Spain far away from us, Gutierrez, and Alizadeh from Bermuda closer to us. And both of them row very well. You've probably just had a thorough look at that. Let's go back a couple of seconds and look at this once more. Both of them row very nicely. And the argument then, oh well, of course it's Hindley Royal Regatta. Yes, the level is extremely high, but it doesn't mean everybody rows effectively and nicely. The interesting thing about the single is many things work in a single. Things that would never work in a team boat do work in a single quite well. So it's always good to see somebody rowing effectively in a single, because that's something you can transfer into team boats as well. The thing is, then you say, okay, so I can row in effectively and still be fast in a single? Yes. If your engine is great enough and you're strong enough, absolutely. This is what we see at the world level at the moment. Not everybody, but quite a few actually are to be put in that category. Many things work in a single. But this here is something that is actually very, very beautiful to watch. Let's look at the rower from the Bermudas. When you go into here, let's pause at the catch. How does he get the blades into the water? Do the blades go in too deep or not? Frame by frame? No. And you have to consider that this is the post-start phase. This is right after the start. So you're really not focusing on technique at that stage. And the blades are not going too deep. Another thing that looks excellent, in my humble opinion, and that's always something that I'm looking for, what's the connection? How stable are the shoulders? You know, some rowers bring their shoulders up tremendously. Both of them don't. Both of them actually are very well capable of using their body weight to suspend behind the blade. So what we want to achieve is essentially, if that's the blade here, sorry, my drawing is not beautiful, the angle is not right, that's probably a bit better. We actually want to suspend the blade with the body weight. That should have direct effect on that. And that is only possible if you leave the small muscles out of the equation as much as you can. And that's what they're doing very well, both of them. So let's stick with Alizadeh for a while. See how he propels the boat with his body mass. Legs to upper body transition. The shoulders, everybody, that's really good to look at. The shoulders are still suspended. That is something you can model. If some people have them too high. With him, it looks a bit too high, but I still think he's engaging the lats and the teres major. So if you don't know what that is, you would need a bit of a stretch right here into the shoulder blades. And this is certainly given. From my humble point of view, this is absolutely beautiful. Very, very nice to see. And his upper body is still a bit in a forward-facing position. Yeah, you could argue, okay, he's got a bit of a bent back, but what I did not see was a change in position throughout the drive. So this is just his position in an original rowing environment. It's not a big deal. That's absolutely okay. On a linear erg, this will become an issue, but in an original rowing environment, no. In my humble opinion, that's perfectly fine. Let's follow him a couple more frames. Yeah. Now he's engaging through his legs, the upper body. His arms are still somewhat suspended. This is where I think that he's bending his arms a bit too early. That's his point of being less effective than it could be. I think at that stage, you could use your body mass a little longer. The moment you start to bend your arms, Usually your shoulders go up or you get too much tension in your delts. And the idea is to use your lats for as long as possible. And this allows you to use body weight for as long as possible. And this, of course, makes you faster. Rowing is a body weight game. It's a game of tension. It's not so much a game of body motion. Motion is a secondary product of changing body tension. I hope this doesn't sound too technical, but the more you get involved with rowing, the more this makes sense. So, and at that stage here, yes, he's bending early. And I think it's just a fraction too early. But this is the start phase, so don't expect perfect technique then. Having such proficient technique right after the start is rare. Not many rowers, no matter what level they're at, are able to achieve that. So chapeau, I draw my hat. Very well done. Let's see what made this possible, and that is always visible during the recovery. At that stage, yeah, his blades are too close to the water. And that's something, interestingly, yeah, that's automated. If you are a proficient rower or a seasoned rower or somebody who's rowed for 1 or 2 years, next time you're on the water in a single or double or quad, you will probably realize that if the water is good, if the conditions are nice, just like here, it's very well possible you will ditch the water right after getting the blades out. Why? There's enough space. You shouldn't do that for 2 reasons. The first reason is that you need space between the shaft and the water. Not the blade and the water, the shaft and the water. You need enough space so that the oar, the big blade, can flap down, because the shaft is not mounted in the center. It's actually that way that the oar flaps down. And you still need enough space towards the catch to raise your hands. If you have to dip down just before the catch, here, just to get the blades off the water, that stage, then you generate the wrong kind of body tension in your body, and you don't get the right muscles under a pre-tension or under a pre-stretch. If you push down on something, you don't really stretch your lats, and the idea is to get the lats stretched out, not endlessly, but you need a good substantial bit of stretch in order to get them involved during the drive, during that phase, naturally and early. And every time you have a change in body tension unnecessarily here, because your blades need to come off the water, it just makes the catch slow. A slow catch is usually a catch where there is a huge task list to be completed that doesn't have to be that long. One thing, for example, is you go forward, and now you have to get your blades off the water just to have space enough to square them. Not necessary. And when you start the drive, it takes you too long. Although I gotta say, he's quick. He's really quick. But he could be faster, definitely. Just here, tap down more. There's enough space. Now tap down a second time. Hold the knees down a tiny bit longer. Get a bit better forward rotation with your pelvis. Because your knees bend so early, your hip moves. Your hip joint moves in that direction, while you try to get the low core to rock over. It's just not possible. The anchor point is gone. Here, this is what I'm referring to. So the white ball is the hip joint, and then you get the pelvis right above it. Now, if you want to rotate forward, that white ball is going to be fixed in space. But if you're in a seated position, then your anchor point around which you would like to rotate is going away. The pelvis is like, hey, where are you going? I still need to rotate. And the hip joint says, sorry, knees bent, gotta go to the catch. So this is, I can imagine this conversation going on every single stroke. This is an issue here. So pelvis would like to rotate forward so the trunk stays one coherent body of leverage. But the knees are going. Where are you going? So the hip is going away. And the pelvis would love to rock over. It's not enough time. So the upper section of the trunk, the more I do this, I think the more conversations are going on in my head. So the top section of the trunk says, well, we got to get the rest of the upper bodies forward somehow. It throws the top section forward. That part had no time to rotate forward because the hip joint went that way because the knees bent early. This little thing holding the knees down is the only thing that works in a race. So especially in team boats, when double or quad even more, hold knees down. Whenever a race is going bad for you, it changes everything. It's the only thing that works immediately. I might even do a short video about this so people find it. What is the only technique cue that works immediately? Knees down. This is the only thing that has immediate effect. It makes your hands lighter. It makes the catch more erect. It makes the catch faster. You connect quicker horizontally. You've got more body leverage because your weight is under seat and not so much on your oar handles and shoulders. There's so many upsides with this. Now, is this a grave mistake? It's ineffective, but hey, they're still some of the best rowers in the world. So yes, many things are beautiful. Not everything is perfect, like with everybody. I'm not perfect. You are not perfect. Let's see what we can learn and improve. Now, let's look at the Spaniard. Now, if you look at Gutierrez in the background, you see he's going like bonkers, crazy. It's that typical Southern European aggressive style. The Italians got that, and the Spanish got it even more. I mean, this is a big guy. This is not like a 50-kilo athlete. He's heavy, and he's pretty tall as well. Going with such an aggression is quite spectacular. This is really something. And you could say, okay, this is the start phase. It is pretty much the same throughout the entire race. And that's something I appreciate about Gutierrez, the Spanish. He doesn't take prisoners. I know at Henley you shouldn't have too much distance between yourself and your position. Okay, but to me it appears that he doesn't know how long he can hold that, and he wants to get as much space between his opponent and himself to give himself a bit of an edge, a bit of a reserve. He might be concerned that he's going to fade. This is what it looks like to me. At the same time, he's trying to be aggressive and put his mark on the race and say, this is mine. What is very, very good with him, if we just check his technique, also he's very well able to place his body weight behind the drive. Legs to upper body transition. This is almost a perfect position. His arms are fully extended. He lets his upper body weight unfold. Legs are almost fully extended. Check that. Yeah. His arms are fully extended. They're dead straight, not pushing away, suspended straight. And his upper body is one coherent lever. And he's really flipping the upper body open with his legs. It can't get much better than that. This is something that is absolutely worthwhile imitating, achieving, doing, getting, whatever you want to call this. This is just very good. And he holds it into the finish. He doesn't bend his arms. If you compare this with the rower from Bermuda just before, the Spanish doesn't bend his arms unnecessarily early. He's harvesting the effect of his upper body weight much longer. Now, you may ask, why is there a washout? And there is one. Well, two sides to that story. The first side is there always has to be a washout because there always has to be a wash-in. In my humble opinion, there's no such thing as a perfect rectangular catch and a perfect rectangular finish. It's a complete... I think it's utopia to expect that your blade can enter dead straight down and then start to push. This is going to stop the boat. It's always going to stop the flow of the boat. And same with the finish, you can't go perfectly out. This is, as we say in German, it's a milkmaid's calculation. It doesn't really work. What works is that you need a bit of a wash in and wash out in order to connect and disconnect so smoothly that you don't disrupt the boat's speed, which is the ultimate goal. The boat should be going quickly. Now, if you wonder why is there such a long washout, and that's the other side of the story, I think he's got the same issue the Bermuda rower has. His knees just go way too early. Look at his knees. His knees bend now. His upper body isn't even fully repaired. I know it's in race mode. I know. Nevertheless, if you want to strive for something, strive for holding the knees down a bit longer. That allows your upper body to prepare better, keep more weight on the seat, and therefore have lighter hands and a lighter shoulder, more mobile shoulder. And you don't fall for the very common trap now that he throws more upper body weight forward as the stroke progresses. So that's something we see quite a lot with people who don't bend their knees too early, don't hold them down long enough. As the recovery progresses, there's not enough control and tension here in the low ventral chain, so the low front part of your torso. So you cannot really attract the foot stretchers to come closer to you. What in fact happens is that you have to slide forward, which is against the direction of the boat travel. It has a lot to do with body weight distribution and tension. And therefore, as the recovery progresses, we'll see this, his upper body comes forward more and more and more. There's more placement of body weight on his oar handles. Same issue, you see the blades are pretty close to the water, and now he's going too high, and now he has, exactly when the catch is about to happen, he really has a lot of work to do to get the blades close to the water and then not too deep. And they are going too deep. Although he's very quick in getting the blades in. But they're going a bit too deep. Have a third of his oars covered. If he'd be rowing with Randall foils, he would feel where to stop. It gives you a good sensation. Even if you don't use them in racing, it gives you a good sensation of how deep is too deep and how deep is proper deep. Also here, a body weight distribution issue. Other than that, this looks spectacular. Absolutely, yeah. I think the body weight distribution is one of the reasons why he's not as successful as he could be. It's that if you watch his knees, they bend very early, and his upper body weight just is thrown forward more and more and more. When you're fit and recovered, or you are not under a high lactate state yet, that works. You can compensate for that. But 2/3 down a race, and that is your third race of the week or your fourth race of the week, you're trashed. You can't hold this. You can't sustain it. And this is where you need to play more with the boat than trying to move yourself. All right, ladies and gents, that's it. That's the first video analysis of the Diamond Sculls at Henley Royal Regatta 2024. I recommend you click on the link below and watch the full race with the original commentary and just enjoy the atmosphere. I think it conveys it very well, and I personally enjoyed it tremendously to be in Henley. With this being said, stay tuned. If you don't want to miss the next video analysis, it's probably best to click the subscribe and notification bell button so you get a pop-up and say Aram put out the new video. It's very likely going to be the next video analysis of the Henley Royal Regatta. If you have any special video requests, shoot me a message on rowing.zone. This is where I respond the quickest. And you find me under the handle @Aram on rowing.zone. With this being said, have a very good day. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.